Let's go to lesson number, what was the lesson number? Lesson number 4. So we have الدرس الرابع. The حوار starts with salam. We have التحية والتعرف, getting to know each other. كيف حالك؟ لعلك بخير. Hope everything is good. These things. ذهب إلى السوق. ذهبت, because it's talking about so it's feminine. إخوتك ذهبوا. Why? Because it's talking about إخوة, which is the plural, masculine. So they went to the university. أخواتك. أخوات is plural of أخت. So we have to use the noon and niswa. So we say ذهبنا. Everything we talked about. And this is also review. Musannef, he knows it's review. That's why he's just giving you every single thing line by line. So you see, ama dhahabta. So this is the new things. Instead of alaysa, now you have ama dhahabta. So look what's going on. You have a question with the hamzat al-istifham. But look, the question is negation. Ma dhahabta. So if you say naam here, then you're agreeing with his statement ma dhahabta. That means you did not go. I think English is much better to understand. First, translate it in English. Somebody says, ama dhahabta, didn't you go? If you want to say, yes, I went, then you cannot say naam. That's the issue. So somebody asks you, didn't you go? The answer is yes, I went. Then you have to say bala. You cannot say naam. Very technical, very tricky, but you have to work on your head. Okay, ama dhahabta, didn't you go? If answer is that yes, you went, then you have to say bala, bala, bala dhahabtu. But if answer is that no, you didn't go, then you have to say naam, ma dhahabtu. Ama dhahabta ila al-madrasati al-yawm. Let's say you are sick and somebody's asking you, didn't you go to the school today? Then if you did not go, you have to say naam, right? Ma dhahabtu. Then the answer would be naam, naam, and the pause. Remember that pause because you have hamza al-istifham. This hamza, if you have to say any answer to this hamza, if you have to say anything else, you need that pause. Naam, ma dhahabtu. Hakadha. So please pay attention. What is hissa? Hissa is a class period, like the time of the class. So, you can translate as class period. Now, make sense? So here, somebody asks you, if somebody asks you questions with limada, you answer most of the time, by and large, it will be li'anna. Li'anna. Okay, this is important. If somebody asks you limada is what? Limada is why. And then if somebody asks you why, then you say because. That's it. Why? Limada? Li'anna? Because. Make sense? So limada raja'ta? Why did you return? Now you say raja'tu li'annani. I returned because murid. I am sick. So learn them together. Limada, li'anna. That's why he gave these two in the same lesson. Learn them together. And this is another good expression, la ba'as. You'll hear it a lot, la ba'as. It has many different meanings. Here means like don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. That's fine. It has that type of meaning. So this is an expression, la bas. Technically, bas means to worry. Like you have, la bas, there's no worry. Okay, so it's just like this is la and nahi al jins. You'll learn it, but don't worry too much grammar issue here. Just learn that, learn this phrase as a phrase. Very important, useful phrase. La bas. Don't worry. No problem. Yes, you can say no problem. It's okay. That's fine. All of this expression comes here. Just like tafaddal. Tafaddal has so many meanings. Tafaddal depends on what you're doing with tafaddal. Somebody wants to come, you say tafaddal. That means come inside. Somebody wants to sit, you point at the chair, you say tafaddal, sit down. You want to give them money, tafaddal, take the money. So hakada, it meaning changes based on the context. Now, so but this one is not a question negation question. Al-istifham al-manfi. This is adhabta ila tabib. Did you go to the doctor? Here, this naam, naam means yes, I went. Naam dhahabtu. Okay, so pay attention to that two phrases, alaysa and ama dhahabta. So this type of negation questions a little bit tricky. If you want to say, if you want to confirm, then you say bala, and if you want to say the other thing, you say now. And it is very difficult to really keep up with this type of things in the conversation. I remember in the classes in the Islam in the Madinah University, they are all natives. People are just saying naam all the time. The teacher will always ask, "Didn't we finish this lesson?" And then he will say, "Alaysa kadhalik." People will say naam, 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 naam. Then sometimes, most of the time, teacher doesn't care, but sometimes teacher will correct. He will say, "You should say bala." No. So we have some exercises. These exercises going with the reading comprehension. So please, only thing I will tell you that I always tell you, this Medina book is not meant to teach you a lot of vocabs and reading, but whatever it has, at least master them. So your reading comprehension has to be top notch here. So you read and you understand, you answer these questions, including this one. We did not read properly, so we cannot answer. It's Ibrahim ibn Ukhti Yusuf. I don't know if Ibrahim is the son of uh, Yusuf's sister. I don't know. You have to find out. So now we have ضع في الأماكن الخالية فيما يلي الفعل ذهب وأسنده إلى الضمير المناسب. So now this is good exercise, very simple. I'm not going to spend time. Should be super, super simple for you, where you do verb conjugations, your pure verb conjugations. المدرس ذهب. أختي ذهبت. أين ذهبت because of أنت. أنا ذهبت هكذا. And it says صحح الجمل الآتية. So he wants you to correct this sentence. So this could be interesting. We can do a few of them. So obviously there are some mistakes. You need to fix them. So it says ذهبت إلى المستشفى يا محمد. So where is the mistake? I can tell you the mistake would be in the verbs. I'm pretty sure. Yes, ذهبت أحسنت singular. So it is not ذهبت, it is ذهبت. No. We'll do this one, number 3. زملائي ذهب إلى المكة. Where's the mistake? What do we do? Yes, so we do what? Waw al-jama'a. We add waw. So it has to be ذهبوا. No. Very good. Okay, so what's the mistake here? This is a interesting one. I'll tell you yes, there are 2 mistakes. There's one more mistake. So this one needs a ta marbuta. So it has to be قالت. Where's another one? Yes, ta marbuta. أحسنت. Yes. مريضة. So you see this without a context, there's no way you can correct the mistake. There's no mistake. Without a context, ana marid, that's fine. But now you have a context. The person who is saying it is a female. So you have to say ana marida. Uh, what else we have? So now it's just asking you to use ma to negate. Uh, ذهبت إلى المدرسة أمس. Did you go to the school yesterday? You say, how do you say it? He wants you to use ma, no. So this is, remember, you say what? ذهبت إلى ما ذهبت ما. But you have to answer this question first. So you say لا. Then you say ما ذهبت. Very good. You say ذهبت أختك إلى المستشفى. You have to say لا ما ذهبت. ذهبت. How many did I put? I have no idea. Subhanallah. This is a little bit long. The last one we have, so now he's trying to explain to you لأن. Okay, so you have لأن, which is same thing what the explanation showed. لي and أن وأن من أخواتي إن. So once you have this information, that's it. خلاص. Your life is easy, because if you paid attention to lesson number 1, you know everything. You know everything. You know the Arab. You know what to do. You know the verb. You know the conjugations. You know even when it is not pronoun, it is actual noun. So you have all the conjugations you can do. لأن, هو, لأنها, لأنك, all of them. He only give you 3 examples. All of them will work. So we have Raja Hamid min al madrasati li'annahu marid, because he is sick. Yeah, so li'anna, we would say sabab would be because of. When you say sabab is cause. So you say because of. Li'anna would be because. Li'annahu marid, because he is sick. Raja'tu min al madrasati li'annani. Remember, you can say li'annani or you can say li'anni. Both of them will work. Okay, both of them will work. لأنني مريضة. So you know, subhanAllah, just by this one, you know the person who's speaking, it's a female person. Now, uh, so now we have the same thing what we talked about when we have questions with standard questions. أذهبت إلى المدرسة. The naam, it's fine, not a problem. But when somebody asks you with the negation, أما ذهبت إلى المدرسة, then you have to be careful. You have to know what is the answer. What are you trying to say? If you did go, then you have to say bala. If you didn't go, then you say naam. Pretty crazy stuff. So now the next lesson, ad-dars al-khamis, the 5th lesson, it is super important, but inshallah we understand, we have seen them, we have some knowledge about them, which is about fa'il and maf'ul bihi, al-fa'il and al-maf'ul bihi. So yeah, let us just read what he says and then we'll explain. He says al-fa'il Al-fa'il is ism. I'm keep on reminding you every time he uses a word, he will explain whether the word is ism or fa'il or harf. Here, fa'il is ism, marfu', and it is this fa'il will always be in the state of raf. It will always take a dhamma. Okay, so he's giving you a few rules. Rule number 1, that it would be noun. That's number 1. It is noun. Number 2, he's saying that it is going to be in the Dhamma. I'm just using the loose terms here for you guys to understand. So this is the second conditions of file or second characteristic of file. And it says قبله فعل. And before it is a verb. It is a little bit loose here, but I know what he means. But that's fine. Third one is that the verb that this file is doing has to be before it, not after it. That's the main thing. So file means what? The doer. So that means he must have done something. That something, that fi'l, has to come before the file. That is the third conditions. If it doesn't come before it, then it is not file. then it would be something else, probably mubtada or something else. So if you understand these three conditions, then you understand file. So how do we translate file? Is doer of verb. And I think in English, we also call subject, but we don't want to use the word subject because then you will get confused with mubtada and khabar. So we'll just say doer. So remember three things. File always has to be a ism, and it has to be in the state of raf. It will be marfu. It will take a dhamma, and it will always come after the verb for which it is the doer of. And then now he explains what it's doing. هو الذي فعل الفعل. It is the one that did that fi'l. So look, this fi'l here he says, now I know why he used indefinite. Here he just used indefinite verb action. So it doesn't make any sense because that file has to be connected with a particular action. So a file cannot be file for all the verbs in the world. But then he clarified by saying al-fi'l. Now al-fi'l, this al goes back to this fi'l. So now he's saying he is the one who did that action. So first he says it comes before a verb. Then he says it is the person who did that verb. So that's what he's saying. Remember, you understand technical meaning of file. This is not the most technical way of explaining, but this is good enough. Main thing you need to know is these three things that I mentioned to you. It has to be a noun, it has to be marfu, and the verb that it is doing has to be before mentioning it, before mentioning the file. So this is your door. Now we have al-maf'ul bihi. Ma ma'na al-maf'ul bihi? He says ism. So now we know it is also an ism. But does it say marfu? No, it says mansub. So something is different here. So it is ism, just like fa'al, but it is mansub. Then what happened? Waqa alayhi fi'l al-fa'il. Okay? So what does he mean by waqa alayhi fi'l al-fa'il? So that means that it's a very interesting way of saying it. So that means the doer of that action, the action of that doer is happened on it. So that means whatever the action was done, it was done upon it. It means that ism. So this is your standard meaning. We call it object. So for example, if I say I ate an apple, the eating was done by I, which is the doer file, on what? The eating was done on the apple. So that apple will be object. So that is what he's saying in a little bit different ways. But that's fine. That's how the other grammar book will mention as well. So what did we learn? For the maf'ul bihi is our object of the verb, and it is ism, and it is mansub. That means it will take a fatha, and it is something that's what has been done to it. Now, he did not mention anything about coming before or after, right? He did not mention because there is no condition, such a condition like that, right? We can have, I don't want to mention some default things. Yeah, I will mention when I get there. Okay, so let's look at some example. We have أمثلة قرأ الطالب القرآن. So let's look at few things. First, identify the verb. We have قرأ. So this is the verb فعل. Now, then now what about this one, الطالب? We have two nouns here, الطالب and al-Quran. If we were to pick which one would be fa'il and which one would be maf'ul bihi, the first thing, the easiest way to know which one is the doer and which one is the object is by looking at this very, very important information, which is whether it is marfu or it is mansub. Because look at both of them is isim, so this is not helping us. Having both of them isim is not going to help you. And here, both of them are coming after the verb. So here we said it's qabla who is fi'l. So before the file is the verb. Okay, so before this noun is verb. So is for this one. the verb is also before that, so it's not also helping. The main thing that is helping us is the i'rab, is the ending, that this is dhamma and fa'il takes the dhamma, and this is fatha, which is mansub, and maf'ul bihi is the mansub. So we know for sure from here is the Quran is not the one that is reading. Because be careful, it might sound like very strange, but in the hadith and many different places, we have what the Quran will talk for you. Quran will give shifa. Quran will do this. Just like Quran is an individual. Quran will accompany you. So you can find places where maybe the Quran is taking a dhamma, doing some actions or things like that, right? So here we know that that is not the case because Quran is not doing this action of reading. Why? Because it is not in the Dhamma. It is in the Fatha. So this action is being happened here. So this action is actually happened here by him. Subhanallah. Okay, that's fine. So now let's read this one. Akala Usamatu al-inab. So we have Akala and we have Usama and Inab. Inab is grape. Now, so it's very easy. The first thing you look for is who did the action. You have the action. Who did the action? Just simply look for any noun you can find with a dhamma. Then it would be your best candidate for that action. And then if you find a noun with the fatha, then it would be your maf'ul bihi. So this is fa'il and this is maf'ul bihi. Okay, so this is something very simple. Then I will explain a few interesting things. Let us read what he says here. We have ضرب المدرس الطالب. Subhanallah. This Daraba example, and if any Americans read this one, he will be like, call the police. The grammarian, they love this verb for some reason. They love this verb. It could be because kids, they don't get the grammar. Wallahi, kids don't get the grammar at all. So maybe all the grammarian, they have to beat the kids up. Kids love, they can memorize vocabs very easily, but they don't understand the grammar. So I think they were trying, those grammarians trying too hard to teach these kids advanced grammar, and they had to beat up often. Right. So we have ضرب المدرس. So ضرب means to hit. So ضرب المدرس. So ضرب is the فعل and مدرس is فاعل and الطالب is مفعول به. But look how dangerous it is. If you have your haraka a little bit wrong, then things will be different. So now I will have my discussion. Okay, I'll have my little bit of discussion here. I don't know if I should do it or not, but I feel tempted. Based on our definition, only thing that tells which one is fa'il and which one is maf'ul bihi is, as you can see, is only this state. Only thing that, based on this definition, what we have for the fa'il and maf'ul bihi, only way we make the distinguish here is by the ending. So what first question is it, the question for you guys is that, for example, I want to say fatah here and I want to say dhamma here. I want to say ضرب المدرس الطالب. Does that comply grammatically or not? Is it a sound statement? Not the meaning wise. Yes, because we haven't done anything that is contradicting what fa'il and maf'ul bihi is. We have, so here, as you can see, mudarris, this is your ism, and this is mansub, and it's waqa alayhi fi'l. Okay, so maybe that's what happened. The action was done upon him. And for the file, it's not a problem. It is ism and it is marfu. So, and it does come after the verb. That means the verb that it is doing, it is before it. Okay, qablahu fi'l. So all of them works. But what is the translation right now here? What is the translation? Translation is what? The student, because we have the talib is getting a dhamma. So that means we have to assume, regardless of what happened, from the grammatical perspective, we have to assume the doer, the file is a talib. So we have to say the student hit the teacher. Now, my joke was, before I explain this, my joke was when I said if Americans see this statement the way it was, they will be very surprised and they will say, what type of bad culture people you guys are. But if I switch them, if I switch a little bit for them, this statement they will be comfortable with because this is what they are used to. The student is hitting the teacher. Subhanallah. They will be like, okay, now I understand. Right? So from that perspective, maybe that's what they will be like, oh, you mean Mudarris is getting the fatha and Talib is getting the dhamma. So, but look at the power of ending. So this ending, just changing a little bit ending, it makes the whole statement different. And this is 100% accurate statement. And sometimes you may want to do this switch. You may want to switch the order depends on what you're trying to emphasize here. Now, and the Quran does this thing a lot. So now I want to explain to you one more thing, which is what if I remove, remember this book doesn't give you any haraka, right? I told you this book doesn't give you haraka. Now I want to remove this haraka. I'm removing this haraka. There's no haraka. So how would you read it? There's no haraka. I told you, you have to find the one that is marfu, the dhamma. If you see a dhamma, then you know, okay, that this is the file. But if I remove the haraka, then what do you do? How do you know which one is dua and which one is maf'ul bihi, which one is file and which one is maf'ul bihi? How do you know that? Any guess? Context, as I said, if you give it to Americans, their context would be the student hit the professor. So maybe that's not what you're trying to say. So context will not help you here. Yeah, some context will help you, but not all the time. Some context will definitely help you. If you have the whole context, you're talking about how bad the student was, so then you pick it up. But there's another technique which I'm going to teach you. Anybody knows? Remember, in English, after verb, what? Yeah, you're close. So in English, you have subject, verb, object. This is your pattern, subject, verb, object. In English, you cannot do anything else. You have to say the subject first, then you have to say the verb, and then you have to say object. No other way. But as you can see in Arabic, that's not the case. You can say the verb, then you can say the subject, and you can say the object. You can say the verb, you can say the object, and you can say the verb. You can say the subject. And also, if you want to make a nominal sentence, you can say the subject first, then you can say the verb, then you can say the object. And if you do like iyyaka na'budu, then you can even bring the object, then if the verb, then the subject. You can do all of these things are possible. Subhanallah, it's madness now. But even so, we have a standard in Arabic. There has to be a default. The default is verb, fi'l, fa'il, and maf'ul bihi. Fi'l, fa'il, and maf'ul bihi. This is the default. So if you have nothing to work on, you have to assume that this is the case. So especially if you have this type of statement, and this is why it becomes obligation. Here it doesn't have to be obligation. As you pointed out, it can be based on the context. It's fine. Here, I'm not obliged to follow this pattern. I can say fatah here. Okay, let's say we're talking about how bad the student was and everything, then he started hitting. So from that context, we will understand daraba al-mudarris al-talib. We will understand maybe that the student is the one who hit the teacher. But when you have a case like that, then it becomes obligation. Now what are you gonna do? Daraba Musa Isa. Because the issue is we have alif at the end. None of them we can put any haraka. And there is no way we can, no, they're not mabni. They are not mabni. They're mu'rab. It's just that we have their alif maqsura. And if but you can say they're mamnu min as-sarf if you take them as a non-native, non-Arabic names. Now, but they're not mabni. Make sure you understand they're not mabni. Now, it's just that we have a haraka, but we cannot put it because why? Alif does not take any haraka. Alif will never, ever, ever take any haraka. Alif always has a sukun. I think I mentioned this thing a lot, right? It will always be sukun. So only thing we can do is put sukun here. We have no other option because we have alif. Now, how do I indicate who did what? Who hit whom? The police came. You have Muhammad and Isa, they're fighting. So how do I say that somebody hit somebody? How do I say that Isa hit Musa? Here, the order matters. No, I'm just telling you, context cannot help you here because maybe even if the context comes, but let's forget the context right now. But we have to know something to work. Even if we have a context, even if you have a context, when you have this kind of situation, it becomes obligation to follow the default. Yes, what is the default? Default is verb, subject, object. Here in this situation, you have to follow that rule. You have to say this is the verb and this is the file and this is maf'ul bihi, because otherwise you cannot convey what's going on. So let's see what else he says. We say المدرس فاعل لأنه هو الذي فعل الضرب. طالب مفعول به لأنه وقع عليه الضرب, because this action, you know, was placed on him, like it happened on him. You know, waqa is to happen, to place, to fall something on him. So the action fell on him. Now, now, so uh, so now occurred. Yes, waqa means to occur, to fall, some things, to happens, to place. Waqa also can be placed. Okay, you say waqa Muhammad ala al-ard, Muhammad fell on the floor. You can say al-maktabatul kabira waqa'at fi wasat al-Madina. The big library is located in the middle of the city. So waqa has a different meanings. So here it's coming as to fell on, to occur on. Now, so now is the issue that I wanted to explain before, but I did not, which is that going back to the pronouns, going back to the pronouns. So when you say katabtu al-wajib, so we have katabtu al-wajiba. So you know that al-wajib is the maf'ul bihi because it is mansub. So that means whatever you did, action was done on that. So kataba is to write. So katabtu. So remember last time we said that ta with dhamma, this ta al-mutaharrika, they are the pronouns. So katabtu is the pronoun. So this pronoun is the fa'il. Yes, so this is the I. So this pronoun is the fa'il. So here when you say katabtu al-wajiba, al-wajib, so how do we say which one fi'l and fa'il? We said kataba is fi'l, tu is dhamir, but this is also fa'il, and al-wajib is maf'ul bihi. Right now we're not doing the i'rab, properly. We're just learning the rules. Okay, this right now the book is just teaching you the rules. So this two, the ta damir takes the role of file. Same thing here when you say katabu. So here what you have to understand, if somebody asks you where is the file, these are the questions that you have to soon answer all the time. Let's say okay, akalu, akalu, akalu al fawake, al fawake. So they ate the, what is fakiha? Fakiha is fruit, fawake is fruit. So they ate the fruits. Now, if somebody asks you, where is the fi'l? You say akala. Now somebody asks you, where is the file? What do you say? Where is the file? The file is this wow. So this is where you have to know these techniques. The wow, you can say wow al-jama'a, which you should slowly learn these terms. But here's the wow is the dhamir. Wow is the dhamir. And this wow is the file. Wow is the file. And then you say al-fawake is maf'ul bihi. But what would happen? What would happen if I say al-awladu? Al-awla, al-awladu. Subhanallah, I don't have any more space. Al-awladu. Al-awladu akalu al-fawakih. Hmm? So where is the file right now? We have al-awladu akalu al-fawakih. Where is the file? Where is the doer? Mub Wow, yes, good. The answer is still wow. You cannot say, even though in English it says the children or the boys ate the fruits. So the boys is definitely is the one that's doing the action. So you would say in English, we will definitely say the boys is the subject here, the doer. But here you cannot. You still have to say that this wow. Why? Because lot of reason. This is very interesting, but I just think it's too much or not. I'm not sure. First of all, why this cannot be file? So many ways you can answer. You have many different angles. The angles from the things that we learned today, and angles from the things that you learned before. Is a verb is verb is here. Tell me why awlad cannot be file. First, answer that question. Simple question. Why al awlad cannot be file? Even though in English it is the file. Why al awlad cannot be? Yes, it is mubtada. So first of all, from the definition, what did we say? Now you will see how the definition comes into play. What did we say, guys? قبله is فعل. So that means the file cannot come before the verb itself. This is by definition, guys. This is by definition. So this is why we said that you have to know this number 3. So the verb that the file is doing has to come first, then the file comes. Okay, we'll talk about those changes. I'm right now I'm just talking about why the al-awlad cannot come. Yes, you're right, but I'm just trying to explain something here. So the number one reason from here is that, yeah, you're absolutely right. No, this is a little bit advanced things. This is the verb agreement with the file, which is very important and tricky as well. But number one, we know that file, it cannot be here because of our definitions, because the verb is not before, it is after. So that means this cannot be your file. So this is you. I want you to think this concept. Otherwise, you will get into trouble. Here, yeah, what you said is right, but what if the subject was singular? Then you will be confused, right? Another reason why you have to say why awlad cannot be file is your knowledge from the previous lessons. We said that there are two types of sentences. You have jumlatun ismiya and we have jumlatun fi'liya. Right? So when you're starting here, this, as you can see, how do we know which is what? How do you know whether this is fi'liya or ismiya? Based on the starting of the sentence. If it starts with ism, then this is what? Then this is your jumlatun ismiya. So that means if it's jumlatun ismiya, then this cannot be file. It has to be mubtada, because nominal sentence doesn't have a doer. It has subject and predicate. So that means it cannot be mubtada because this is not jumlatun fi'liya. This is jumlatun ismiya. That's why it has to be a mubtada. So a lot of stuff. This is how you bring all the stuffs together, and there are so many other things to know. So if you're not pulling those knowledge all the time, then it might be overwhelmed as you move forward. So you have to have all this knowledge in your mind. Now, so to answer the questions, this wow is still your file. And this alif is just a writing convention. Don't worry about this alif. Inshallah. So we have just a little bit left. Inshallah, we'll just quickly wrap up. Then we have دخل الطلاب الفصل. Okay, وجلسوا. Subhanallah. So here comes what sister was talking about. Now comes another important thing that you have to know about the verbal sentence between the file and fi'l. Okay? If the file is apparent, if the file is a parent noun. What do I mean by apparent? ظاهر, they say in Arabic, ظاهر, اسم ظاهر. All right, اسم ظاهر. Apparent noun. That means it is not a pronoun. Just let's say not pronoun, not pronoun. Okay, if the file is a not pronoun, it is actual noun. For example, here we have at-tullab. This is not whom. This is actual noun that we have. Then the verb will always be singular. Then the verb will always be singular. Because look what's going on here. We said dakhala. Dakhala, we just learned that this is he entered. But then who is he here? There's no he here. We have a tullab, the students, because we know that tullab is the file because we have a dhamma. That's number one. Number two, it comes right after the verb. So here we don't have any more dhamma. So we know that this is the dhamma. So this is the file. So the action that, who is doing this dakhala, it is at-tullab, which is plural. It is not dakhala at-talibu al-fasla. It will also work. You can also say dakhala at-talibu al-fasla. It will also work. But we're not saying this. We are saying dakhala at-tullabu al-fasl. So how does that work? Shouldn't it be dakhalu, the one that we learned, right? With the waw. But and then what happens? Then we say wa, then we say jalasu. Now we have this waw back because this jalasu, this waw is coming back to the student, the same students. They entered and then they sat. So the students entered the classroom and then they sat. Simple statement. But we have a lot of complications here. What's going on here? Is it either is a mistake here or something is going on? So this is the rule that you also have to know. If you don't have a apparent noun, if you don't have not noun, I mean the file. If the file is not a zahir, the visible file, if it is dhamir, if it's a visible noun, it is not dhamir, then the subject will always remain singular. But what happened here? So now, because we are not mentioning the file with the tullab anymore, now we have to go back to our plural. But if you, for some reason, wanted to say, wa jalasa tullabu, this is not a fluent way of writing something. We don't say dakhala tullabu wal fasla wa jalasa tullabu. The students came to the classroom and the students sat. We would definitely use the pronoun here. But if you wanted to say actual noun, then you're going to say wa jalasa at-tullabu. Kind of strange, but then the rules will come back again. So this is something that you have to know. This is something that you have to know. Make sense? Is that clear? So for example, we have قرأ الطلاب والدرس وفهموه. Subhanallah. Now he's showing something else. Wallahi, I don't know if this maful bihi attached pronoun is part of this lesson or he just decided to do it or not. I will not explain too much here. Maybe it will come. I have a feeling this attached maful bihi will come very, very soon. No. But what do you do? What do you do when it is female though? So what happens when this is female? So let's say you don't want to say tulab, you want to say female students came. So what do you do? Do you say dakhala at-talibatu? No. The subject remains singular, but you have to make it feminine. Yes, dakhalat. That we have an example with qatalat. When I see the qatal, I get scared. What did they kill? Allah understand, because another violent. So they killed what? They kill al-hayya. What is al-hayya? Anybody knows? So I think it's also in the Quran. So also there's another word, thu'ban. There's a little bit difference. Is snake. Hayya is a snake. Now, so initially this is a sukun here, qatalat, but you have a kasra because of alif lam. So that's what you do. You still make it. You don't say qatalna because the plural for female would be قتلنا. نعم. قتلنا. No, you don't say that. If you don't want to mention a طالبات and the طالبات is in the context, then you can say قتلنا الحية. Then it's fine that they killed the snake. So a little bit issue, it's a small lesson, but a lot of things to keep in your mind. There's a lot of important, lots of important things. Inshallah, I think we will spend a little bit more time when you go to the actual lesson, just so that, these things are firm in our mind. Same thing is going on here. ضرب الأولاد الحية, and then we say قتلوه. Here we say قتلوه because now we are referring them as pronoun. We're referring them as a pronoun. So this is your verbal sentence, subject, verb, agreement issues. See, you cannot say that. You cannot say sami'u an-nasu because an-nas, the doer, the file is a zahir, is apparent. So you cannot use sami'u. You have to say sami'a, hakada. So this is very good. It's clearly showing what is possible and what is not possible. But you can say an-nasu sami'u. But if I say an-nasu sami'u, where is the file? Where's the file? If I say الناس سمعوا الأذان, where's the file? Wow, yes. So you cannot say the file is الناس. File is wow. الناس is مبتدا, and this whole thing is خبر, and the خبر is جملة فعلية. Then this is become فعل, this is file, and this is مفعول به. We will do this type of إعراب analysis very soon, inshallah. So right now, make sure you understand there's a lot of things to keep in your mind, to be honest with you. So you have any question? Yes, mubtada, and the khabar must match the gender. Yes, ahsant. If it's noun. Naam, if it's noun. Because khabar, remember we talked about khabar can be shibh jumla, khabar could be a sentence itself, khabar can have many other things. But yes, that is the default. Ahsant. So I think we will wrap up here, and what we'll do is when we start the next lesson, next class, we will start with going through lesson number 5. Did we read lesson number 4? Not this one. Yes, we did. Okay, that's good. So we will start with reading from the book, lesson number 5, and then we will do the next lesson. I think next lesson is also a big one. Let me tell you something, subhanAllah, it's a really big one. Next lesson would be here's because I went through the book because I was trying to see how long it will take us to complete. Next lesson would be another lesson which is super big. As you can see, subhanAllah, it starts with it's a lot of stuff. You can see it, right? Oh my goodness. It's going to take a long time. But the good news is after that, you don't have any other single lesson that as big. After that, almost every week, we may be able to do 2 lessons at a time, inshallah.